Hello everybody, and welcome to the latest Worlds of ZZT livestream. I'm your host, tour guide, and Museum of ZZT curator, Dr. Doss, and today we are going to continue what I probably shouldn't have actually started last week. We're going to hopefully get through the rest of the testimony of Trixie Glimmer Smith. I managed to miss my stream day last week, and then in a panic, just streamed the next day, and so nobody was around, which was my bad. Yeah, we're all here for part 2. There's already a much bigger crowd. So I probably should at least clue people in as to what's been going on in this game. This horror visual novel with furry characters. Trixie there on the left, she's been failing her coursework at university. Nikita there on the right found a page of the cursed play, The King in Yellow, and has agreed to do Trixie's coursework if she finds the actual book for her. And that's what we did last time. Turns out, it was in a creepy old abandoned cottage filled with horrible mold spores and also the skeletons of some, well, the skulls of some dead neighbors. But that's all in the past now. Nikita has her book. Trixie has her free time again. Everything's great. As long as, displays horrible effects don't drive Nikita mad, but she's already a little out there, so it'll be fine. Yeah, also, everybody in this game, one of the characters even comments on it, everybody in this game is queer in some way. Trixie is a rat tea girl. We had Gregg, the non-binary baker. We had... Actually, you know what? I don't think they ever say if... A lot of them are trans, too. I don't think they ever say if, Parsnip or LaRose is. But, that's not really important. What is important is we gotta hang out with somebody today. And also, I gotta unmute this program so we can hear things. There we go. Much better. Long overdue. Okay, yeah. We were at the split in the game. Yeah, that also tracks. Parsnip has his own ideas. There's a couple of splits in this game where you get to choose who you're going to hang out with, which just kind of guides the plot slightly. Oh, I didn't really have... I have my preferences here. I already kind of turned down the first one because it doesn't do a split into every possible path. You choose from yes or no, and then if you choose no, you get this later on, so... We gotta fill out our schedule here. Frankly, if I remember right, I remember the Gregg path being the fun path for this game. We're going to learn how to make cupcakes, or other cakes. Good stuff, sweet stuff. I remembered Gregg's invitation. Well, it was nice, but I didn't think I could handle driving around in this heat. Besides, I really wanted to learn how to make cakes. Or more accurately, I wanted to eat them. She's very relatable. With last night's encounter with Nikita all but forgotten, I made myself somewhat presentable and headed to town. We're zooming on in. Hi, Gregg. I hope I'm not too late to make cakes with you. Oh, not at all. I was just about to start. I'm glad you decided to come. You better wash your hands so we can get baking. Ended up just trying and failing to follow Gregg's baking instructions. Accidentally baking a whisk into one of the cakes was one of the least disastrous moments. Once the cupcakes came out of the oven, we got the chance to talk properly. Well, we're just skipping right over it. Okay, Trixie, time to ice our cakes. Let's get creative. Looked at my vaguely cake-shaped blobs of carbon. These cakes are only carbon now. It's tragic. Adding icing to these would be like sticking plasters on someone hit by a howitzer shell. I don't know how you do this every day. I'm tired already. Although to be fair, tired is pretty much my default state of being. It is pretty tiring, especially since I'm open pretty much every day. I might not need to work as hard soon, though. Maybe I can take a break and enjoy the sun. I need to get to the beach. Oh, are you getting, like, a machine to make stuff for you, or what? Gregg was suspiciously silent for a moment. I could see their eyes in thought. Kinda. You could tell they didn't want to talk about it, so I tried to change the subject. Kinda nice getting outside in the sun. I used to have to stay inside a lot during the summer since I can't really handle the sun with my lack of melanin. I got some of that new UV protective sun shampoo for it though this year, so I've actually been able to get outside. Still a little worried I might end up sunburnt though. I miss the heat. Hopefully I can spend some time outside before this heat wave ends. As somebody who actually did work in a bakery for like 4 years... No, you're getting the heat if you are working in a bakery. Trust me. The ovens aren't exactly known for being cool. Used to miss it. Oh, I moved here when I was pretty young. My parents used to live in Oceania. I still remember playing in the summers there. They're even hotter than it is here today. Oh wow, I didn't realize. That's cool. I wanted to visit Oceania for ages, but I don't think I could handle the heat there in the winter, let alone the summers. Thousands of ash islands dotted with strange Siberian artifacts, thrown across the planet by the Dark Age Cataclysm, sounded right up my alley. And a reminder that this is from 2018. What about sheepsit? Is that going to be a problem for you? I don't really know much about immigration. Oh, no. I'll be fine since I've lived here so long. I still think it sucks, though. And that poor sheep. I can't believe the Prime Minister wants to let her kid bite it back, or she won't accept an exit deal. I hadn't heard about that yet, but it didn't surprise me in the slightest. The exit negotiations were growing increasingly surreal. The ring, the shop door opened, and in strode a familiar face. Uh-oh. What's up, sluts? Hey, Heidi. Are you just popping in for lunch? You bet. I can't hang around long. I have some stuff to sort out at the shop. She shot me a slightly scary look. I think it was meant to be friendly, but it's kind of hard to tell with Heidi. We could have hung out with her. Can I get 20 soy meat rolls and a whiskey? Heidi, I don't sell alcohol. How many times do I have to tell you? Gregg says she got a half-liter bottle of Dusty Dunes whiskey out from under the counter and poured it into a paper coffee cup. Powerful game. Heidi smiled and winked at me. I winked back and probably looked pretty silly. Well, I better get going. See you later, you two. Oh, Heidi, before you go... You sell any boxes? I need some. Boxes? Yeah, I have some boxes. You can have them for free, honestly. I have plenty spare. Hooray! Awesome! I'll come pick them up later. Nice. I'll see you then, dude. Heidi left and we got back to icing. What do you need boxes for, Gregg? That's right. Figure out this dude's life story. Before Gregg could respond, the shop's phone started to ring. I'll get that. They picked it up and gave a chirpy hello. I like to eavesdrop at the best of times, but when Gregg's face dropped and they ran to the cupboard, I knew I wouldn't be able to resist. Yes. Like most of it? No, that's too much. No, I can't, I don't have enough. Right, no. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll try harder. Goodbye. Gregg re-emerged from the cupboard. They looked deflated, hurt even. Sorry, Trixie. Business stuff. You okay, Gregg? Want to talk about it? I'm not usually one to ask that. I don't have the energy to deal with my own problems, let alone other people's. But seeing the usually chirpy Gregg break down like this caught me off guard. No, it's nothing important, just... the bakery hasn't been doing so well recently. I've been relying on selling in bulk to a couple of big businesses. A few hundred pastries a day for their canteens and stuff, right? Problem is, I haven't been able to keep up with the amount they need. Most of them have already dropped me. That was Crowbar Inc. on the phone. Crowbar Inc. That could be a ZZT company, actually. The CEO personally phoned to complain I wasn't making them enough pastries for their lunch. I've got a week to turn it around, and if not... well, I have to close, I guess. I'll have to find a new job in telemarketing, maybe? So sad. Sorry, Trixie. I didn't mean to kill the mood. They were trying their best to backtrack and pretend everything was fine. Hey, no worries, Gregg. I wish I could help, but... I looked at Gregg's pristine cupcakes, and then I gazed in fear upon my abominations. I don't think I'm cut out for baking. That's okay, Trixie. It's my problem to deal with, not yours. I seemed to think for a moment. Hey, Trixie? Are you into spooky magic stuff by any chance? Always leave when somebody asks you this. Oh, wrong answer. For sure, I study it at uni. Kinda. Why? I thought so. You look the type. But that, I mean... you got, like, a bat backpack. There's, I guess, the kind of plan I have. Maybe you could help me with it? I wasn't sure I liked where this was going. This is probably going to sound really silly, but... a few years back, I got hold of some book. Cryptids of the South, I think? Oh, sweet. I read that last term instead of doing my actual work. I was like, wow, I can write my report on spooky monsters. Then I reread the report brief and realized it was meant to be about some old dead language. I had to get my friend to bail me out. Oh, see, she summarizes things pretty good. It's a fun book, right? Pretty silly, but... when I started struggling to keep up with my orders, I remembered one of the entries. The antlered tree. Oh yeah, they're like some old food god or something, right? I can see why you'd like that. Haha. But this antlered tree is meant to bless people in need with endless amounts of food, right? Those weirdos up in North Acres? They worship the antlered tree, don't they? Yeah, ever since the Dark Age, I think. Exactly. When the entire country was starving because of the ash storms. There's some, like, lore to this world that these games do not get into. Right, about 1.8 million people died. Just casually drop that number, Trixie. On account of the ash storms. Trying to make myself look smart by quoting the one statistic that had stayed with me from my college course's required reading. But yeah, I studied the Dark Age back in college. It was pretty bad. That's the name. So you probably know North Acres was one of the only places in the country to have a death rate below like 5%, right? The others had a ton of farms and stuff, so it made sense. But Ovington and North Acres? It was a mining village. It had to import most of its food from the nearby towns. And they didn't have any to export during the famines. They were right, it was a pretty well-known fact. People say a stranger arrived in Ovington when the villagers started to get ill. Ovington and some of the nearby villages started to worship the antler tree and survived the Dark Age with no trouble. Well, this will solve itself. So my point is, if the antler tree could help them then, maybe it can help me now? I know this probably sounds like I'm mad, but the music stopped. But I really believe that if this creature is real, it could help me. It might be my only chance to save the bakery. Gregg did sound a little mad, but I wasn't exactly one to judge on that front. If I had an endless supply of pastry, that's my problem solved, right? I know it's a selfish use of endless food, but... Anyway, it sounds like you know all about this stuff, and I guess if you don't think I'm being too ridiculous, it would be really cool if you wanted to... I guess help me contact this thing, if it's real? I mean, I've already been making some plans to do this by myself, but if you're willing to help, it might be easier? Imagine waking up to make cupcakes, and then this is how your day goes. Taken aback, Gregg wanted to contact some kind of mysterious woodland god? Wasn't that generally a bad idea? Gregg, that's... Before I could reply, a group of wool suitors burst in. I guess from the wool fest going on in town today. Oh good, we get to see their furries. I half expected to see Tabby, but I don't think she was there. It's not like she would have said hi anyway. She probably wasn't interested in talking to me. They all bought grass cakes. I guess they were getting into character. Oh, do we not get to see any of them? Never mind, I take it all back. After they left, Gregg spoke up again. So what do you think, Trixie? Want to go along with my silly idea? I couldn't say no. See, it's not even a prompt. Gregg deserved to keep their bakery, and if this at best silly, and at worst horrifically dangerous scheme made them at least feel better about the situation, I'd go along with it. In retrospect, this was a poor decision. Sure, Gregg, you can use my, expertise. Gave them a smile and it tapped my little brain. Gregg ran over to me for a hug, but I guess my face went into the about-to-be-hugged grimace I'd adopted ever since puberty hit me. Oh, sorry. Not really into hugs. Sorry, Gregg. Maybe another time. Gregg seemed to understand. Thank you, Trixie. So there's this book called The Notes of Ilaria Divanavor. Apparently she knew a lot about this kind of stuff. There's only like 2 copies though. Yeah, one of those spooky grimoires. I'm pretty sure they're always kind of bullshit though. I said this, but at the back of my mind, I couldn't help but think of the King in Yellow. After seeing Nikita last night, and feeling the pull of that play's yellowed pages, I mean, sure, most of them probably are. But the Notes of Ilaria Divanavor, well, I've heard things about it. Anyway, I might be able to get a hold of a copy soon. Let's talk about that tomorrow. We have cakes to ice. I have to say, I never did any occult work in my time at the bakery. We iced for a little longer, but eventually I had to get going. Gregg let me take some of their cupcakes back to my room for lunch, which was nice. I think mine ended up in a biohazard bin. It had been a nice, if strange, day. I didn't realize there was a Polygon reference in this game. Wow. According to Poppygon.com, Cyber Dracula's from Mars was getting a reboot, so that was cool. That's our cool backpack character. That guy in the corner. Cyberbat Razor had a new design, somehow even hotter than the old one. This is why everybody immediately can read this girl. Irrelevant. Sorry again. Also, yeah, for the folks who missed it, the framing of this is she is writing all of this down in a letter to, like, the administration at college to please Be nice to her. That was some pretty exciting news, but pretty soon the night took a turn for the worse. I've been gorging on the cupcakes I'd brought back from Gregg's all evening, thinking about what we had spoken about. I decided to wait till I saw Gregg again to look into it. Eventually, I managed to get to sleep, only to be immediately woken up by knocking at my door. If it was Nikita, she'd be shouting abuse at me by now, so who was it? I don't think there's actually any need to save in this game, but just in case. Trixie, this is important. We need to talk. It's about the King in Yellow. My blood froze. I'd completely forgotten to check up on Nikita, and by the sound of it, she deteriorated somewhat. I shouted a mess of words at her, my half-asleep mouth barely functioning. The knocking stopped. I managed to get my clothes on and open the door. Trixie, sit with me. She took a seat on my bed, the King in Yellow clutched in her hands. I was taken aback. Nikita always looked faintly repulsed by my hygiene. She would normally never consider touching any of my stuff. Nikita, are you okay? Trixie, shut up. I'm fine. Now sit down and listen to me. I already told you this is important. She didn't look fine. She looked even worse than the last time I saw her. I nervously sat down. My eyes were drawn to the closed play. It was only a book, but it seemed to suck the air out of the room. I felt cold, confused, scared. Trixie, I finished reading it. It says so much. I can't... You need to read it for yourself to understand. It's just so... I can't explain. My head is maelstrom. Jesus. See. But Trixie, my point is, I'm in this play. Or, I mean, I can tell it's supposed to be me. Trixie, I am the heir to the broken throne. I am the heir to Carcosa. I was dumbstruck. What was Nikita on about? She was a character in some old play? The heir to a fictional city? It was madness. Nikita, I think you need to sleep. You're not making any sense. How about you wait here? Trixie, you are not going to get me sectioned. Don't you dare accuse me of being sick, mad, or... We both know I'm smarter than you, so shut up and listen to me. Her eyes bore into me with genuine malice. She was scaring me. Sorry, Trixie is extremely a pushover. Okay. I'm sorry, Nikita. I'll listen. She stood up, pacing for a moment, the book still in her hands. Eventually, she stood over me, trying to look tall. I leaned back a little, hoping if she got what she wanted, she would calm down a little. The heir to Carcosa, Trixie. I was saying last week that, like, I hadn't actually heard of the King in Yellow prior to this game. And even then, like, I was like, okay, it's made up for this game. And then Will dropped the King in Yellow borders, and I was just like, ah, I see. The heir to Carcosa, Trixie. At first, I didn't believe, but all the signs are there. I've got this. I've had it since I was born. She pointed at the white freckles on her face. Oh, speaking of, there's Will. You recognize them, right? The Heights, the Constellation, the eternal prison of Carcosa. You be careful reading that. I gazed at Nikita's face. It was hard to be sure, but her markings were definitely familiar. I'd seen them before in my vision of Carcosa that night in my dreams. I see it. I think, I mean, it's hard to tell. I don't know much about stars. Act 2 already released. Where's that? Is this like a frog fraction situation? Look, Trixie, just read the play. Oh, it is a frog fraction situation. I have to... Okay, I'll have to... find it. It's not just the markings, it's... There's so much. I noticed she didn't give any examples. Nikita dragged my desk over to the bed and screeched across the floor, but I didn't want to stop her. She sat down next to me and placed the King in Yellow on the desk. Read, please. You'll understand. I looked down at the play. Ever since I'd first laid eyes on it, the book had been at the back of my mind. I wanted to read it. I carefully reached out and ran my hand across the cover. It was cold. Open it, Trixie. We don't have forever. Oh, look at this, making me click it. Open the King in Yellow. A lot of time passed. Initially, I was disinterested. Nikita had obviously been skimping on sleep. A play written over a century ago did not reference her. It could not. Strangely, I remember little to nothing of the play's contents. They seemed to pass through my mind like wind. But while I remember little, in my mind I still see the black stars hanging in the sky, the rolling clouds breaking against the dread galleys of the Imperial Navy, and the terrible remains of the broken throne. When Nikita saw me finish Act 1, she spoke for the first time since we had opened the play. Do you see it yet? Do you see me? No, Nikita, there's never even any mention of an heir, or you, or anything. It's just, oh geez, I don't even know how to describe it. What is this? What are you saying? You can't see me? Can't you read? Give it back. She wrestled me for the book. My desk toppled over in the struggle. I needed the play. It was mine now. Give it to me, Nikita. I realized I'd let go to shout at her. I quickly grabbed it again, but it was too late. Nikita shoved me and I tumbled to the floor. As I fell through the air, I caught a glimpse of the first line of the second act. In that moment, I saw only a blur of ink scrawled onto a yellowed page. I'm not even sure I truly read it, but it left an imprint in my mind nevertheless. More than anything else that happened in the next few days, no matter how bad it got, nothing compared to this. If I could destroy all memories of this year, my new friends, my education, even my transition, I would. For the opening to the second act of The King in Yellow was terrible, unlike anything imaginable. I hit the ground with a thud, my head spun, my vision blurred. A feeling of dread, the likes of which I had never known, hit me like a gunshot. My head felt light, and as I raised my hands to indicate my surrender, they shook as if I was about to faint. What I read in that book stays with me even to this day, and I have no intention to repeat it here, lest rereading it bring me new, more terrible insights. That line changed everything. Nikita was right. The broken throne belonged to her? You believe me now, don't you, Trixie? Never doubt me again. Nikita grabbed a pair of crazy scissors off of my desk and brandished them threateningly. I wasn't too worried. They were too bulky and plastic to make a proper weapon, but Nikita was still scaring me. Now get out! Get out of here! I never should have let you read this. You don't deserve it. But this is my room. Small semblance of normality returned to Nikita's face. She seemed to have snapped out of her fury. I need to use this chance to calm her down. Ooh, we get some prompts. Things are breaking all the time in video games. Let's distract. Distract her with something she cares about, not telling her to do my homework. Nikita, wait, what about your election stuff? Running around with what? Ha 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 ha. You think I care about student politics? You saw my calling inked into that page, Trixie. Whether you want to admit it or not, you have always known where I was headed. Carcosa, to the Broken Throne. My head hurt at the mention of the Forsaken City. Surely Nikita couldn't truly intend to sit upon its throne. Look, Trixie, you had your chance to join me as my underling. But it's clear the decay of this world, its silly parties and fun, have ruined you. That's a good line. You could have shined as bright as the twin suns. Disappointing. She took off, running from my room with the play and her weapon. I was left alone on the floor, a trembling mess. I scrambled for the door and managed to lock it, my heart thudding in my chest as my mind tossed and turned like the dread fleet at anchor. I should have been more worried about Nikita. She was clearly a danger to herself and others. But all I could think about was the King in Yellow. I only remember parts of the night that followed. My mind raced almost non-stop. Every now and again I'd fall asleep, only to wake up elsewhere in my room. All this fun has ruined you is just... It's just the vibe. I really gotta chug water with this one. At some point my phone buzzed. Nikita was messaging me. Why didn't you believe me, Trixie? You had your chance to serve me at the foot of the Broken Throne and rule the City of Decay. Why did you have to ruin it? The King's tattered hand will guide me, and me alone, through the path you made for me. The twin skulls will guide me to the twin suns, the night that never ends, under the pale moon, under the black stars, under the bleeding sky. Not nearly enough typos for a text message. This is what I was meant to be always. I was meant to be the ruler. I was meant to be. Do not be scared, Trixie. You know this is right. You know this is the way things are supposed to be. You know I am kind. I will not allow the king to harm you when the gate opens. I promise. I continued in that manner for a long time, maybe hundreds of messages from Nikita, all completely incomprehensible. She seemed set upon sitting on the broken throne underneath the rotten spire of Carcosa. Nikita had a weapon. She was unstable. I thought about how she had spoken earlier that night. It scared me. I needed help, but who would believe me? I couldn't burden Gregg with it. They already had their bakery's issues to contend with, and, well, to be honest, they didn't seem like the type who could handle serious danger like this. There was the police. I didn't like them, but maybe they were my only hope. It's always funny to interact with the police in these games. I knew I had to try. I dialed the police. Hey, I'd like to report a dangerous deer at my university. Wait, who is this? I checked the number. It was definitely the police, so why were they whispering? I strained my ears trying to pick out words, but all I could hear was faint murmuring. Hey, look, I'm trying to report an incident, so shut up. I know you guys are a bunch of homophobic bootlickers, but at least try to do your job right, okay? Hello? For fuck's sake. More murmuring. At first I thought my attempt at a feminine voice was being mocked. But then I heard the word Carcosa, and my blood chilled. The police were compromised. Many people are saying this. I disconnected the call. This was hopeless. Nikita had somehow gotten the police in on this against me. I gave up. This was my problem to deal with alone. Eventually, I managed some small amount of restful sleep, an hour or two at most. When I awoke, I could remember what happened with Nikita all too well. I could remember reading The King in Yellow. But after that, nothing. Parts of it seemed to be a dream, or my imagination, or something worse. There was no wall between reality and madness. I couldn't trust anything. But I knew Nikita was dangerous. I knew she was headed to the Broken Throne. Quite what that meant, I didn't know, but I had to stop her. If Nikita unlocked the White Gate of Holly and walked through, what could walk back out? Despite my fatigue, I somehow remembered that I needed to change my estrogen patch today. Desperate to retain some degree of normalcy, I decided to get on top of that. I've been skimping on my anti-androgen tablets too. No wonder I was a mess. My hormones were all over the place. I downed one, hoping to keep my testosterone in check. Dark thoughts still swirling in my head, I managed to stagger over to my bathroom mirror. As usual, the edges of my patch were coated in gray gunk. Gross. I peeled the sticky patch off. And as usual, I looked like shit. I needed a hot shower. Maybe it would wash away the storm of thoughts in my mind, along with the gross eye gunk clinging to my face. I spent most of it curled up under the water, the hot water masking my tears. It woke me up, but I didn't feel any better. After the shower, I slapped a new patch on my ear. You're meant to put them below the waist, but I don't want to shave an area for it, so you're meant to shave an area for it. But she refuses. I'm assuming I'll be fine. I haven't died yet. I'd gotten a text from Cops, the local pizza takeaway. Apparently they were blacklisting me for prank calling them. I blinked, bemused. I had no idea what it was about. Had Nikita framed me? She seemed a little beyond sabotaging my pizza reputation when she was waving a weapon at me. Figured it was a mistake and left it. Their pizza was overpriced anyway. Gotten another text, this time from campus security. Apparently, the person next door, I think Misty Dartmouth or someone on the museum studies course, had put in a complaint about me. Apparently, I'd been talking to myself all night and scratching the wall. Shame, I liked her. If just because she had a nice name. What was the name? Misty Dartmouth. Sure. I looked at the wall. It was true. I'd left some tiny claw marks in them. That was my deposit gone. Maybe I could buy some paint off Heidi and hide them. But right now I had more pressing problems. By the time I was ready to face the world, it was already pretty late. I needed to do something. After last night, the last thing I wanted was to be trapped inside with my mind all day. Thinking about seeing how Gregg was doing when my phone buzzed. It was Gregg. Convenient. Gregg the baker. Don't put him in under that. Hey Trixie, I was wondering if you wanted to come help me with that thing I asked about yesterday, smiley face? Oh, I could, I guess. You okay, Trixie? Extreme smiley face. You sound sad, sad face. Yeah, okay, I'm just tired is all. Yeah, I'm having a classic HRT mood swing, haha. I'll come over soon, okay? Okay, hope you feel better soon. Don't push yourself. But also, please come, because I need you. Gregg rules. I'd almost forgotten about my discussion with Gregg. I was already feeling weird about the whole meddling with strange entities stuff they had going on, and after last night, I just wanted to stop Gregg making any mistakes. If the King in Yellow was real, Carcosa, the Broken Throne, I didn't need another unspeakable terror in my life. I shook my head. It would probably be fine. I'd talk them out of it. Like the little bunny pastries on the middle shelf. Gregg was making cakes as usual. Hi, Trixie. Nice to see you. Feeling any better? Oh yeah, I'm feeling fine. I just had a late night is all. It was half true. I didn't really want to go into the graph with Nikita right now, much less the King in Yellow. No, today was going to be a relaxing day of helping out Gregg. I could worry about Carcosa later. So you wanted me to help with something, right? Like research? No, not research. I got some stuff sorted out last night already. I totally arranged a meeting with someone selling a copy of that book I need right here in town. We're meeting tonight. Oh, cool. So, like, you're buying it and want me to help you read it? I was thinking more, you help me steal it. Gregg rules. I think Gregg saw the look on my face and scrambled to keep me on board. Unfortunately, they succeeded. Hey, it's for a good cause, right? I can't afford it. I need it to save my bakery. Besides, like, maybe it's a fake. They might just be a scam artist. We'd be beating them at their own game. I don't know, Gregg. Sounds like a crime. Criminal act. We'd be criminals, Gregg. But this might be my only chance to save the bakery. This person, apparently they're rich, if that makes any difference? Oh, huh. I mean, if they're rich and hoarding haunted books, and you're poor and need haunted books, I guess that means ethically we have to rob them, right? Parsnip has the best theme, I'll give him that. Like that old story where the fox stole money from the rich and gave it to the poor or whatever? In this world, Disney's Robin Hood specifically is a biography. It's a documentary. Exactly like that. Those haunted books belong to everyone, and I need one to save my bakery. And maybe in the future we can make it up to them. So, you in? Unfortunately, I said yes. We spent most of the day running the bakery like normal, but after we closed up for the day, we got down to our dirty, dirty crime. Okay, so you know the plan, right? When I say the trigger phrase, Tango October Dusk, you leap out and push the schmuck over. That okay? It wasn't a very subtle trigger phrase. I was curious to see how Gregg might deftly weave it into the conversation. Now, when you push them, you gotta make sure it's a good push. You need to grab that book and run. Apparently, they're trained in some kind of dual-wielding weapon-based martial art. I don't want to find out about that firsthand. Gregg attempted a reassuring smile, but I was not reassured. Oh yeah, I made us some disguises, too. Gregg ran into their storeroom. Surprise, it's me, Gregg. I hope I didn't scare you with the spooky face I drew. They tossed a second box over to me. A box? Yeah, of course. We don't want to be recognized, right? They might seek revenge. That wasn't reassuring. It's a good look. She wears it really well. I tried on my disguise. They would definitely cover our faces, but they weren't particularly impressive. Right, so you know the plan, don't you? I hide with the disguise on. I sighed. I hide behind some bins with a box on my head. When you say the trigger phrase, I leap out and push over the bookseller. In the confusion, you grab the book and we run away. What's the trigger phrase? Tango October Dusk. Yeah, I knew that. They bit their lip. They didn't seem entirely convinced. Pulled off the box. It'll be fine, Gregg, I promise. But, Can I make some changes to my box? Oh, don't mess with perfection. Me and Gregg got into position at the meeting spot, the alleyway next to Pound Town. A figure appeared at the end of the alleyway as if by magic. Sorry, deal with Gates grinding the coffee beans. They slowly approached us. I kept my head down behind the bins. That's spooky. Delilah Moonbeam, keeper of the cosmic secrets. The daylight shroud dissipates and I arrive here through the moonlight. Delilah Moonbeam, keeper of the cosmic secrets, froze as they raised their hooded face to Gregg. Wait, is that... Delilah shook their head, dismissing whatever they were thinking. Ahem. I mean, wait, is that definitely the person searching for the lost book of darkest dread? Of course. So you have it? Of course, I could not have forgotten it. I am a servant of the moon itself, here to grace you with terrible gifts. Excellent. This deal should go down smoothly then, my friend. This deal should go down smoothly then, my friend. Was that the trigger phrase? Didn't sound like one, but the irony of launching our crime with it would be pretty funny. Delilah would probably laugh about it later. Was Gregg into irony? I wasn't sure. Do we get a prompt for this? I don't think we do. Oh, we do. I don't know. It would be pretty funny to leaf out now, is the thing. She's not wrong. But it is very clearly not the code phrase. Let's do it right. Gregg needs all the help they can get, honestly. No, that wasn't it. The actual phrase was way crummier. I could distinctly remember rolling my eyes when Gregg first mentioned it. A payment, then. You have it. The Moonlight Man demands it. Aha, well, the octagon strikes at dawn, right? That's the phrase? It sounded weird enough to be it, and it did have the word strike in it. I'll give her that. That's... I mean, I'd just be thinking when Gregg says something stupid, that's the time, so go for it. I sprung out from behind my cover. The bins clanged to the floor as I flew at the mysterious Delilah Moonbeam. Tracy, what are you doing? I was already barreling through the air in a kind of pencil dive towards Delilah when I realized Gregg wasn't ready. I'd made a move too soon. I bumped into Delilah. She didn't budge, clearly braced for impact. I fell to the ground and scurried backwards, unsure what was going on. Oh, you fuckers. Delilah Moonbeam pulled a taser out in one hand and a rounder's bat in the other. Their dual-wielding prowess was terrifying to behold, but I knew I had to leap into action and save Gregg. Oh, the fangs are really cute, actually. I take it back. She was right. I leapt out from behind the bins, tripping over the lid of one of them and falling onto a bemused Delilah. As I knocked them over, their taser jabbed me in the ribs and shot. Wow, I forgot you could get tased in this game. Ah, frick. As I reeled from the shock, Delilah spun around to face me. Behind them, Gregg was freaking out. Oh frick, oh frick! Troy! Smith! Gregg launched themselves at Delilah, knocking them over. Unfortunately, onto me. I pulled myself away from Delilah just in time to see a metal bin lid being thrown towards my face like a frisbee. Frick! I yelped, anticipating being hit in the face, and was relieved when the bin instead hit me in the ear. Fortunately, years of listening to edgy music above the safe volume had rendered my ears mostly useless, so I had little to fear. That said, it did really hurt. I realized later that it must have been Gregg who threw it, as Delilah was still on the floor. Grab the book! The book had tumbled onto the floor of the alleyway. I went to grab it, but my foot slipped on the bin lid. I tumbled face first into the floor. I was lucky not to lose a tooth. Through my bleary eyes, I saw Gregg grab the book and timidly bat Delilah over the head with it. I think they were trying to knock them out, while also not wanting to hurt them at all, which was awfully considerate. Delilah didn't even seem to notice, instead pulling themselves back to their feet groaning. I scrambled to my feet, not wanting to be on the floor when Delilah recovered. Go, 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 go! Go, 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 go! We both fled the scene. I was bruised, battered, and faintly embarrassed, but glad to have gotten away. I felt really bad about robbing Delilah, but I didn't want to disappoint Gregg. Besides, I knew if Gregg was right about this, it would all be for a good cause. Behind me, I could hear Delilah shouting. I didn't turn around to see if they were following us. I remembered Gregg had said my name, or had they? They had certainly said Smith. That was pretty vague, at least. But I worried this wasn't the last I was going to see of Delilah, and started to regret getting pulled into this. I had enough crap to deal with already. We hurried through the streets, eventually reaching the bakery where we could pull our disguises off and catch our breath. Hey, Gregg. I feel kinda shitty. We just committed a really mean crime. Hey, no, Trixie, don't worry. It's better I have the book for a good reason than some bad guy getting hold of it, right? Delilah will be fine. We just spooked them a little. And you saw how much money they were asking for. They're obviously super rich, right? I guess. As long as it's to save the bakery. Of course. I'm sorry for making you feel bad. Oh no, it's okay. I always feel guilty. Even over silly things like being called Trixie. I sighed. Let's not get into that. Aw, well, thank you for your help, Trixie. I won't let you down. I promise. Gregg reached their arms out, offering me a hug. Oh, we get to choose? You just committed a crime with somebody. This is your moment. This is your big break. I let Gregg hug me. I think I forgot to actually hug them back. I guess I need more practice. Thanks, Trixie. Yep, that sure was a hug, alright. Gregg seemed amused by my awkwardness. Right, I have a book to read. I need some coffee. Gregg flipped through the book, their eyes flitting back and forth through the passage they needed. Between every page, they took another big sip of mocha. They must have refilled their cup about 8 times in less than half an hour. My stomach felt uneasy. I felt bad about the robbery, and even worse about Gregg's plan. I knew they meant well, but in my mind I had seen the black stars hang in the Hyades with the white gate to the cosmos, the dread galleys of the imperial slavers. I knew there were things that shouldn't be meddled with. I shook my head. There was nothing to worry about. The book was probably a dud, a silly old storybook from a more superstitious time. I would soon learn this hope was in vain. I found it! Call it forth to thy harvest queen. It's like a spell or something. Awesome! This is such a cool book, haha! I wanted to be glad for Gregg. They seemed to be enjoying the book, but I still felt uneasy about this. Cool, Gregg. They were so excited they didn't seem to notice I wasn't too keen on this. Gregg is lovely, but easily distracted. It seems pretty simple. We just need to get some food we want, an effigy to the antler tree, and then just a drop of, a hair. We have all of those except the effigy. We can make one out of, like, marzipan or something, right? Like you do for wedding cakes? Yeah, we can go to North Acres and steal one. They probably have loads. Yeah, what? Wait, what? Steal? Great, didn't you hear me? We can make one. I guess, yeah, I kind of wanted to go steal one, though. Hey, Gregg, are you okay? Did robbing you put you into some kind of blood craze or something? What's with all the petty theft? Alright. I'm actually gonna take a quick break here, so let me try doing a poll or something, and then we'll get back and I'll get some actual audience participation in here. Assuming I can find the option. Let's see here. Polls. That's an ad. That's a prediction. That's a poll. Ugh. Let's do. Alright. Let's see here. Should be a poll in chat now. And I'm going to run my ad break real quick. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I see we made it tight here. 53% though. Will demands that we steal, so we're going to steal. Honestly, I feel like that's the correct choice just for this specific description. Went with Gregg and committed a petty theft, accepting myself as the twisted criminal I am. Whoa, why is my chat laggy? I heard the yeah, and I just now got a thing saying that the yeah happened. Who knows? Alright, off to do crimes then. Exactly like this. Okay, sure. Let's go be criminals. We already mugged a mysterious moon entity tonight, so this is a step down, to be honest. I wanted to check out North Acres for a while anyway, so it might be nice to look around. Anyway, when we got to North Acres, I didn't get to look around, because it was pitch black. We were speeding along a countryside lane in Gregg's van, each pothole threatening to break my spine. Hey, Gregg? Can you see with that on your head? No, but I can't see in the dark anyway. Getting driven to a creepy village by a blind hyperactive baker on a caffeine rush at 3 a.m. was starting to look like a poor decision on my part. I think we must have passed through a few villages or something, but they were deserted and unlit. Look, there's one. Her box is just, like, shockingly good. It captures her, like, her essence perfectly. Gregg slammed down the brakes. It was a good job I had my seatbelt. That's an interesting way of phrasing it. It was a good thing I had my seatbelt on. The van's weak headlights lit up a gate of some kind. Hanging from one of the sides of it was an effigy, much as the book had described. Okay, let's get stealing. To cut a boring story short, we stole it. Are you... not to make you confess to your crimes on stream, but are you the criminal or the victim here? Ah, okay. There we go. My bakery days were night shift. I was always up at 3 in the morning. Completely normal. That was before I was really a coffee drinker, though, thankfully. But that didn't stop some of the guys from sometimes buying like drinks for everybody. And then I would just drink a coffee at like 1 in the morning, which is the most insane thing imaginable with how caffeine sensitive I am these days. I can't have like a cola after like 4 or I'll be up all night. But sure. Midnight coffee. We eventually returned to the bakery. Gregg was double checking the book, I guess making sure we had everything. Those meanies at Crowbar Incorporated will feel so silly for doubting me, Gregg. Gregg seemed to be crashing, unsurprising given the amount of extra sweet mocha they drank. I'm telling you, that double sugar mocha in the corner, it's like, yeah, actually, I would like that. It just has to be decaf. I took another look at the effigy. It was an elongated prehistoric deer skull carved from wood. Strips of dark fabric hung underneath it, and a confused mess of twigs stuck out from the skull. It was unsettling. I shook it off. There were worse things out there than silly skull puppets. Awesome, cool, They yawned squeakily. Squeakily yawns. Clearly they were about to pass out. We got everything we need. So maybe let's wait till tomorrow, or... Gregg fell asleep. Poor thing. Good night, Gregg. Everyone say good night, Gregg. I left them a note so they'd know I wasn't kidnapped and managed to get a taxi back to my place. That night I dreamt of the basement of Daffodil Lane. I was crumpled on the floor, blood stained the fur on my side and covered my hands. Through blurry eyes I could make out Nikita. She was saying something to me, but her voice was too muffled and distorted to make out. She seemed smug, so no change there. Oh, I forgot. I muted the game during the ad break and I didn't unmute it. I was like, boy, sure is quiet. Still is in this section, but... After a seemingly endless monologue, she threw her hands skywards, and with a flash of white light and a splash of cold spray, a white gate opened at the far end of the room. The white gate to Carcosa. I shivered as the chill rolled off of Lake Holly. I got like super into this when I first played it, and I did go back and just played everybody's path. It's fun. I think the Gregg stuff is the most fun of it for me. Fun, yes. That's what this is. For a moment, nothing happened. A strange calm came over me. This wonderful solitude was cut short, for from the white gate emerged the cloaked visage of the King in Yellow. Their tattered rags billowed in the increasing wind, floating like tentacles of some terrible deep-sea creature. They stared ahead before peering down at me with a slow turn of their head, looking right at me, right into me. I blacked out, and when I awoke, I found myself elsewhere. Me and Gregg were running through a dark forest. We seemed desperate to escape something. I tried to yell, "Why are we running?" to Gregg, but my voice was muffled and quiet. I glanced over my shoulder and regretted it. Towering above us some distance away was a dark figure as tall as the trees surrounding us. An elongated skull peered down at us with empty sockets, a bush of tangled horns piercing the dark sky. The antlered tree. Black mist emanated from it and crawled through the trees towards us with frightening speed. I yelled in fear and turned away. At least now I knew why me and Gregg were running. Gregg shouted, falling over a discarded coffee cup stuck in the dirt. I spun round to make sure they were okay, but Gregg was pulled into the black mist and disappeared with a shriek. Not wanting to look, I turned back. The bakery's door was in front of me. I leapt inside and the black mist dissipated. My escape was short-lived. The roof of the bakery seemed to dissolve away. Pale moonlight filled the room. I yelped and started to run. I sprinted through aisles of cupcakes, but my path was blocked. A figure had emerged from the light as if by magic. Delilah Moonbeam gave chase. Grabbed baked goods, cooking tools, and decor, and threw it behind me, hoping to disrupt Delilah long enough to escape. Delilah seemed to stop at nothing, psychic powers swatting away at anything I threw at her. All the while, the moon grew larger and brighter. Its light swept into the room, and I yelled as wisps of pale moonlight flooded my lungs. Good morning. I plunged back into consciousness and woke, screaming and shaking. My eyes darted around my room. I was alone. Everything was as it should be. I was as exhausted as ever, as was my life now. After last night's dream, I was more intent than ever to simply let my problems slip from my mind. I thought I'd better check on Gregg. Maybe they would want to perform their fucked up ritual today? After that dream, I was even more uneasy about the situation. They didn't message back for a while. Sugar, too much sugar. Sugar hangover. Staying in bed. Oh no, have a nice rest. Poor Gregg. All those mochas last night must have come back with a vengeance. I sighed. With nothing to distract me, there was nothing else for it. I'd have to face up to Nikita. Right on cue, there was a knock at my door. Trixie, Glimmer, Smith, open up! I gulped. Just what I needed. She was knocking pretty loud. Maybe she was planning to break in and kill me with whatever weapon she got a hold of today. I knew the knocking would attract unwanted attention if it continued. I couldn't bring more people into this mess. Nikita was my problem to deal with. I opened the door, accepting my fate. Trixie, have you seen my cardigan anywhere? Much as I'd loathe to admit, you've been to Daffodil Lane, haven't you, Nikita? I could tell she had. She kept sniffing as if she was dealing with some allergies. I'm gonna participate in No Nikita November. Something seemed to click in her, as if she only just remembered what she had been doing all night. Had she totally forgotten about our fight? Well, you might think that, but I couldn't possibly comment. You think you're pretty smart, don't you, Trixie? But no, I wasn't there, idiot. Look, Nikita, I'm going to stop you. I won't let you hurt yourself, and more importantly, possibly me. Oh, Trixie, you're far too late for that. I already have the exact position of the intersection between our world and the White Gate. The book, Reaching Other Worlds, was most illuminating. The midpoint between the 3 standing stones in this county. The cottage on Daffodil Lane. I need only bide my time and wait. And then the throne will be mine. Wait, what? Silence, wretch! I have already said too much. Suffice to say, my ideas have been vindicated. While you gawked at Go Sentai, I studied in the library. I forgot about that line. Your fate is of your own making, Trixie. Maybe you should just accept that I've won. I will sit on the throne, not you. But I don't want to sit on the throne? Nikita, you're not making sense. Silence! Silence, silence, silence! You read what I have. You know what I speak is gospel. The throne is mine. She took off, running back to wherever she came from. Not being hugely athletic, she seemed to run out of breath before the end of the hallway, where she slinked off panting. At least this had confirmed it. Nikita had a plan. I sighed, realizing it was up to me to stop her. What was it Nikita had said about Daffodil Lane? I sat in the midpoint of the 3 standing stones? That true? It didn't sound at all right. I checked out the map on my wall. Nikita was right. The cottage on Daffodil Lane, the place this all had started, was at the direct center of the standing stones. More or less, anyway. I mean, maybe if you account for tectonic movement and stuff. But it was close enough. I gasped. Nikita was right. She needed only wait and... Wait, and what? I realized I had no idea what she planned to do with this information. She had mentioned the library. Of course, Nikita was always in the library, so that was no surprise. But perhaps there was a way to stop her hidden in its thousands of books. It might be my only chance. I had to read books. I rushed straight to the library. There was no time to lose. It always shut early on a weekend. I quickly went through the shelves I thought might be relevant. Myths, local history, literature. I wanted to find the book. Nikita had mentioned Reaching Other Worlds. I had never heard of it before, but it sounded like it would be of use to me too. Reaching another world was Nikita's aim, after all. I found the shelf it should have been on, and there was nothing. Nikita must have come here first and taken it so that I couldn't find out how to stop her. I panicked. If she was actively trying to stop me, there was nothing I could do. Nikita was smarter than me and driven like one possessed by her obsession with that cursed play. My eyes remained locked on the spot the book should have been, and I felt my body grow numb. Was I too late? I could see her even now in my thoughts, the book ablaze as Nikita continued with her evil plotting. The gnarled hand of the king guiding her to the decaying imperial palace of Carcosa and the broken throne. I realized I was crying. And then I realized I was looking directly at the book. It was 3 places over from where it should have been. It must have been misplaced by an uncaring student or busy librarian. Trembling, I reached for the book and softly caressed its spine. It was real. I took it from the shelf and wiped the tears from my face, ashamed. Glancing at the great clock at the entrance, I realized I had stood in the same spot for close to an hour. Something was horribly wrong with me. I dropped my collection down on a secluded desk. Half of this stuff didn't seem all that relevant, but it was better to be thorough. I thought I'd better skim the books and work out which I had time for before I actually started reading. I wouldn't have time for all of them. I checked the clock. There were about 5 hours left until the librarians would kick me out. Oh man. That's right, you also have to play the game multiple times to read all these great books. What do we got here? I mean, I guess this one seems relevant. Reaching Other Worlds seemed to be based on the Dark Age grimoire written by a bird scholar at the tail end of the age. Nikita seemed set on reaching Carcosa. I thought this might help me understand if that was possible, or how she planned on achieving it. It was short, it would only take an hour to read. Alright, commit. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of interactivity in this game, but it does have a sanity system in it. Some of the stuff like us calling the police or Nikita with the scissors will randomly play out a little bit differently. I don't know how much is just truly randomized or how much is based on what actions you pick in some of these earlier prompts, but we'll get an ending. I don't know what ending we're gonna get. Reaching Other Worlds. Endless worlds weave and twist through reality, unreality, forbidden places between. Only at the points where these strings draw close can one pass through to the other side. Powerful psychic beacon is required to pull the 2 worlds taut and intertwine them for long enough for a crossing. Bleakwind Spire is said to be the brightest of these beacons, at least on our world, but in its current ruined state is useless. The carrion crows of the Blackwood of Brennenburg use their own natural psychic influence to shield themselves from the horrors of the Brennenburg succession wars. The Planewalkers of Abineth in the ancient times, powerful psychic crystals were most commonly used in pairs. Singularly, they could bind the worlds, but when paired would nullify each other, preventing others from traveling to or from the area. It is said that this is how the Court of Despair remained hidden forever in their Cathedral of Teeth. It's always a teeth game. I gasped. The librarian shushed me. I knew Nikita wanted to reach Carcosa, but I now realized quite how close she might be. All of these materials were easy to acquire, except for the psychic crystals. But I now knew where Tabby's missing crystal was. Nikita had taken it. I always assumed they were phony glass toys, but now... A second crystal would create dissonance with the first. If I could just get a hold of one, I could prevent Nikita's ritual from working. I began hurriedly messaging Tabby. Hey Tabby, you there? Hi, Trix. Remember this era? When those were the faces? You got a spare psychic crystal? Oh, hey Zen. I was curious how long you were gonna go for. I guess I won't be raiding you then. I have bad energies, and it might help me? You need a psychic crystal for your bad energies. Ah, yeah, that'll do it. XD, you don't need to end everything with a question mark. Yeah, though, you can borrow one. My energies are balanced right now, and the moon's eye is staying closed for a while, so I don't need to stop it watching me. I can slide it under your door if you want. I'm going out for a few days to stargaze on the Isle of Wight and talk to some sheep friends. Yes, please. Sorry, Tabby, I better get back to work. Thank you so much. Talk to you when you're back? I put my phone away without checking for a response. There was no time right now. But at least I was making some progress. Things didn't seem as hopeless. 4 hours remain. Remove it, yes. Let's see here. What sounds cool? Tell me about these crusades in this messed up world. Great Crusade looked like a rather dry history book. I knew most of this stuff already. I don't know why I picked it up. It was bulky and would probably take 2 hours to read. Yeah, but I'm not reading it for you, Trixie. I'm reading it for me. And does it have, like, a castle made of teeth also? Let's see. The Great Crusade. When the world shook and found itself plunged into darkness during the early Middle Ages, many societies were desperate to find some way to end the ash storms and earthquakes that now plagued them. Queen Marigold Eliza Dawnsight claimed to have identified the source of this evil, the terrible Ash Prince, a demon living deep in Siberia underneath the fabled City of the Stars. Whimsy, I see. This claim marked the beginning of the Great Crusade, the largest population movement in pre-Great War history, with over 1 million soldiers, craftsmen, lords, ladies, inquisitors, and bards marching together. Their cause was simple: to defeat the demon destroying the world. While it is now known that the Great Crusade failed, victims of Siberia's harsh winters and harsher ash storms, toxic clouds, and earthquakes, this was at the time a ray of hope for the world's population. Led by Queen Marigold Eliza Dawnsight, the crusade started here in Britain, moved through Frankland, Imperial Brandenburg, and met with the eastern armies from across Asia at the mouth of the Black River in modern Ukraine. How timely. This host would then travel through the eastern steppes where the Azure Horde and the hundreds of additional steppe peoples would join. With the global bird network in disarray due to the ash storms, the last contact with the outside world came a year after the meeting at the Black River. Queen Marigold reported on endless leagues of ash-covered earth, black skies, and terrible malformed beasts. The Great Crusade was never heard from again, but archaeological evidence suggests the bulk of the force perished in the freezing conditions within a few weeks of this message. Evidence suggests fragments of the host broke off and made their retreats south across Kazakh, but were unable to escape the 1123 ash storm that would engulf much of Asia. How far into Siberia those who remained loyal to the cause reached is unknown. Any who reached the City of Stars likely perished from the toxic fumes which engulfed the area. The so-called Ash Prince remained undefeated, but the Dark Age would end naturally almost 200 years later in 1302, when the Siberian supervolcano finally returned to its dormant state. Okay, well, I learned something at least. Not just about you, Trixie. Probably wouldn't hurt to learn about the play. Thesis on the King in Yellow. 3 hours, I don't got the time. Well. What else we got? History. Cryptids. How come this one didn't go away? I guess just because the other one had to send a text message and it really didn't want to do that again. This one I remember being brought up though, but I don't remember why. Wilhelm Notes was a collection of notes written by the infamous Grand Inquisitor Wilhelm, traitor to the Inquisition and supposed author of the original transcript of The King in Yellow. It was a pretty poor translation, and the original text was near incomprehensible to begin with. Ugh. Trixie, you gotta read faster. So not you, read you, not you. Just, I'm not sure, some cryptids. Great, short book. Clayton Wimberly, the five-faced eye stabber, nice. Five-faced squirrel with an eternally spinning head. He spits and screams from his many mouths as he tries to stab the left eye of his victim. There have been no recorded victims of Clayton. One man claims to have been killed by him, but later recovered. A true story? Could be. Despite this, many claim to have seen this scary figure. You better watch your back. Old Lady Whitetail. That's gotta be someone's persona. The squirrel, but also Old Lady Whitetail. The ghost of a murdered maid, killed by her lover. Her once beautiful orange and brown fur, now white from mourning her own death. She appears in the mirrors of naughty children to give them bad dreams. Often said to be seen in Southpaw. Yeah, that is a bit parsnip. Her haunted pantry is commonly voted the scariest place in the county. Antlered tree, that's at least somewhat relevant. Manifestation of an ancient god. The antlered tree is said to be a deer-like creature as tall as a pine tree. Its head decorated with a bush of sharp antlers which pierce the sky. Often thought to be a bringer of prosperity and food in hard times, it is a popular figure for worship even now in some areas. The residents of North Acres in particular are known to hold secretive festivals dedicated to this mysterious figure, though rarely are outsiders able to glimpse these ceremonies. Mr. Springy! Mr. Springy is fucked up. We don't know what's going on with this guy. The quiet figures. Tales of shambling tatty figures have been common throughout the history of the county. These figures are often said to be able to talk only in hushed whispers. Their fur and skin is always described as matted or rubbery, as if they were corpses. The reanimated dead? Who knows? Reports of these figures seem to often coincide with a disappearance, leading many to believe that they might be the possessed or reanimated bodies of those who go missing. The Furlock. Stalking travelers through the forest, the Furlock is said to be a primitive, immortal, prehistoric creature covered in long fur with a big bushy tail. Some kind of wild mutant squirrel? Maybe. Dangerous? For sure. Altered beast. Boy, this one really keeps going. Deep within the bowels of Standing Stone Barrow, Altered Beast is said once to have been a rat who wished to experience new and horrific pleasures. Supposedly a hulking beast of sinew and bone, the beast's appearance is enough to transfix and terrify any who look upon it. First reported in 2002. Beast has supposedly been seen exiting the barrow by moving its heavy stone door with ease. Actually, what? I'm still debating if I want to play the third game after this, because the third game is very chill. I don't know how to describe it. But I actually am curious about this in the context of the third game. A brief attempt was made to head into the barrow and discover the beast, but the party had to quit after realizing they had been exploring Fallen Stone Barrow 700 miles north by mistake. I mean, every time I drop something on the floor because of that third game, I think that's tomb juice now. And that's 90% of why I want to play it again. The Wilted Rose Water Snake. I might end up just playing it because I don't know what else to play next Monday otherwise. I'm hoping we get through this. I think we're at like the end, or like right after this. Wilted Water Rose Snake. Cool Serpent. Okay. Nikita describes herself as an academic with lesbian characteristics. I mean, yeah, that tracks. Well, did you ever read the short story compilation Poppy put out? It's like the same world as these, but none of them have anything to do. Yeah. Some of them were pretty good. And I know, well, she also did something recently I was talking about last time. That's another story that's apparently heavy with regards to trans issues. So I haven't gotten to it yet. I was gonna go through these first, but from what I hear, it's a bit of a downer. I don't know, but it's more new. It's the first thing she's done since several years at least. So who knows? All right, can I read any of these in just an hour? Okay, local folklore. Alright, there are famines. Yes, this guy, the mysterious visitor, the antler tree. Little bit. There was also the holiday special. Actually, the holiday special game is really good. I'm just for it has its own very good Nikita moment that I'm now remembering. Let's see here. Yeah, this is the most gamey of them, of everything that she's done that I've seen at least. Let's see here. Was this entity simply a story to cover up Ovington's true evil, preying on travelers and raiding nearby towns? Probably. Even so, the area remains shrouded in secrets. Perhaps there's more to it than meets the eye. Tale of the Man and the Witches. Local man who wished more than anything to be beautiful and strong, so that he could woo local damsels. He sought out the Salt Sisters of Posmouth, but the witches only laughed and cast a cruel spell on him. The witches summoned evil void wraiths to chase the man away into the wilderness, where he succumbed to the witches' terrible hex. Some say this man would go on to become the terrifying Mr. Springy. Well, but this is obviously untrue, as Mr. Springy is way too fucked up to be in a silly kid's story. Who is Mr. Springy? The Screaming Sewers. That seems like a fun one. Bluefields town was reestablished as the administrative center after a war. Several buildings remain. Pretty flowers. Of course, not all of the Emperor's influence on the town was positive. Many rebellious locals were dragged to the city dungeons during his brief reign here. Screams and wails were said to emanate from the town's sewer system, as his terrible torturers pried the poor prisoners for information, or sometimes merely for fun. Shrouded in mystery, the dungeons were eventually unearthed in 1956, but were soon sealed with concrete. The council did not give a reason why, but we can assume they were a structural weakness beneath the town. Though some say on cold winter nights, screams still emanate from underground on lowly streets. King in Yellow. The infamous Wilhelm is said to have first penned The King in Yellow in a manor just outside Bluefields town. The manor burnt down in the late 1800s, so any evidence of this has long since been destroyed. The play ties to the county do not end there. Copies of the play are found more frequently here than anywhere else across the world, with a notable incident being its discovery in Bluebell University's library. The dean, a superstitious fellow, ordered it burnt, unopened, when a student brought it to him. Said student was also expelled in mysterious circumstances. Well, that doesn't bode well for Trixie. The dean was fired soon after. Okay. Apparently for the unfair expulsion. The student disappeared. Well, okay, still bad news for Trixie. Student disappeared before they could be reinducted to their course. No way would the dean expel Nikita. She was the only thing keeping us on the league tables. Besides, at this point, I didn't think Nikita would care. I realized I'd run out of time. I quickly put the books away and left. I ended up back at my room. I just needed to sleep. This week was killing me. When was the last time I slept properly? Walked through my door and almost tripped over something. There was a little velvet bag on the floor. Someone had slid it under my door. Oh great, had Nikita been sneaking anthrax into my room or something? I nervously picked up the bag and was relieved to feel a hard crystal inside. This must have been Tabby's Psyker Crystal. Oh, thank you, Tabby. You're a lifesaver. Possibly literally. Carefully put the crystal into my bag. It might be the only thing that could help me. I was going to have some noodles to eat, but I couldn't get the packet open without scissors thanks to my weak little arms. I remember Nikita had stolen my scissors, putting a stop to my noodle meal. Not her worst crime so far, but probably her most annoying. In the end, I had to just eat crisps. Who amongst us? This week was really taking its toll on my diet. I needed time to digest what I had read. I was too tired to do anything practical to deal with Nikita tonight. No doubt she was slinking around the university or holed up in her room plotting. That night there were no dreams. There was only darkness. I woke up as tired as ever and wanted to check the internet for news, convinced I'd find a photograph of a disheveled Nikita being bundled into a police van after committing some atrocity in the name of the broken throne. Fortunately, it looked like Nikita hadn't been arrested for any terrible crimes. Unfortunately, this meant she was still my problem alone. Yesterday, Nikita had, well, not admitted to being at Daffodil Lane, but it was fairly obvious she had been. I was pretty sure she wanted to open a portal to the White Gate of Holly in that cursed basement. I needed to know if she had done anything there. Maybe I could find a way to stop her. I ate some sugar flakes and got ready for another long walk to Daffodil Lane. I arrived at Daffodil Lane, only to be greeted by a loud caw. That mangy magpie again. The caw sounded like it came from near the creepy cottage, as if it was calling for me. I tried to spot the magpie, but they were nowhere to be seen. Someone is. Hi, Trixie! Fuck. I span around and screamed. Directly behind me, less than half a meter away, stood Parsnip. Oh no, please no bad words. This is a no bully zone. Sorry, Parsnip, you just scared me is all. I didn't expect you to be stood directly behind me like that. No one ever does. I'm very quiet. I couldn't help but feel slightly creeped out by that. Turned around to look for the magpie. I was sure I could feel their beady white eyes locked on me, but they were nowhere to be seen. There's that good tune. Reluctantly, I turned back to Parsnip. He was grinning excitedly, and I noticed he had a picnic basket with him. I'm having a picnic! Would you like to come, friend? I was kind of hungry, but I felt like I should probably get on with stopping Nikita. No, what do you mean, don't? We couldn't eat our ramen. We've had nothing but sugar flakes. We've got to figure this guy out. Yeah, I guess I can hang out for a little while. And it fits in with her inability to say no. He very much does not want us to be this person's friend. Yay! Oh wow, I'm so excited. Let's go ask Rosie if she'd like to come too. Oh, okay. I can't be too long though. I'm pretty busy. All-day picnic! All-day picnic! He skips off to LaRose's cottage. I started to regret agreeing to this, but followed along behind him. I eventually caught up to Parsnip. He was knocking at LaRose's door and bouncing excitedly. I saw LaRose peering out a window between a crack in the curtains before receding back into the darkness of her cottage. I got the impression she didn't want to be involved. Not hugely surprising, given Parsnip's apparent break-in. I don't think LaRose is home, Parsnip. Maybe we should get going. There was a loud crash from inside. Fuck's sake. Fucking easel cunt. If you're not going to stay standing up, then why even live? I heard the distinctive sound of an easel being snapped in half. I think it was an easel being snapped in half. I'm not sure what gave me that impression. You're right, I don't think she's in. I was starting to doubt how much Parsnip existed in our plane of reality. I guess it's just you and me, friends. He pulled a friendship yarn out of his bag and waved it at me. You still have yours, right? Do I? I honestly can't remember if I kept it or not. Parsnip's got secrets for sure. I rummaged through my stuff and pulled out the yarn. Oh, okay, we did. It was slightly worse for wear after a few days in my bag. Parsnip's face lit up nevertheless when I gently wiggled it. I'd never throw away this present. Yay! Oh yay! What a great friendship. I was glad to have diffused the situation. I didn't want to get on Parsnip's bad side. He seemed slightly unstable. Let's get on with our picnic. Follow me to the wheat field, friends. The wheat field wasn't a great spot, given that the wheat hadn't been cut. It was at least somewhat shady in between the crops. Parsnip had giggled as he trampled through the field to the picnic spot. He seemed to find running through the field of wheat strangely naughty. Parsnip started to unpack his picnic hamper. I have to admit I was slightly dreading what he might pull out. To my surprise, what he did get out looked really good. A tray of cupcakes, each decorated with different colored icing and sprinkles. A few even had chocolate chips and flakes in them. Things were looking up. He got a pitcher of water out of the basket. Somehow it hadn't spilled inside, despite being sideways and having no lid, possibly defying the laws of physics. Poured the water into a pair of plastic cups and handed me a red one. I thanked him and took a sip. The water was surprisingly nice and very cold. I thought this might turn out to be nice after all. I thought I'd soon come to regret. At this point, Parsnip got a bag of Sugar Daddy icing sugar out of his hamper and poured a good 100 grams into his cup. The sugar partially dissolved in the water, but most of it settled in the bottom of the cup. I grimaced at the thought of drinking it. Would you like some sugar? No, that's okay, Parsnip. Thanks for the offer. And try some cake. I looked at the cupcakes. There were about 10 on a shared plate. They had different colored icing and decorations. They looked pretty nice, if a little sickly. That said, something about them felt off. How hungry is she right now is the question, I suppose. I feel like that would make or break this for her. I mean, you can have a nibble. It's just gonna have some extra sugar, right? It's not gonna kill you. Cautiously picked up a small cupcake. On the surface it looked fine, but something about it felt off. Parsnip didn't seem like the kind of person who would make a good baker. Well, she never eats is her problem. She doesn't eat meals, she just realizes oh, I'm going to pass out if I don't eat. Regardless, it was too late now. Parsnip was looking at me expectantly with his big pleading eyes. He was clearly proud of his work, and I felt a little bad at the thought of disappointing him. I took a small bite out of the cupcake, and the sponge crumbled like ash into my mouth. Sugar crawled down my throat, threatening to choke me. The taste of decay filled my mouth, and I gagged. Ugh. I spat the cake out into the wheat and grabbed my cup of water. I swirled the liquid around my mouth and spat it out, gasping for air. Had I imagined that? Could the cake really have been that bad? Parsnip stared at me unblinking, his smile completely unchanged. We both sat in silence for a moment while I regained my breath. So, did you like it? He seems easy to please. I think you can just lie to Parsnip pretty easily. I decided it was best to lie. I didn't want to hurt Parsnip's feelings. Thanks, that rocks. I managed to croak out between his breaths. Great, have a taste of the rest. I worked really hard. I watched Parsnip start to nibble tiny bits off the other cakes and then put them back on the shared plate. He didn't seem to have taken in anything I had said. He would cycle through the cakes, eating only little bits of each at a time. Occasionally, he would take a sip of sugar water by clumsily holding the plastic cup between his big paws, usually spilling some of the sticky water on himself. He didn't seem to mind. I watched Parsnip nibble on his food in silence until he finished, at which point he fell over backwards asleep. Good night, Parsnip. Say good night, Parsnip. Something was bothering me about Parsnip, yeah. He felt fundamentally wrong. Thought about the hideous food. Surely it was not of this world. The rabbit's strange mannerisms and aura filled me with discomfort. I remembered when I first met Parsnip, he had appeared from nowhere, as if summoned to me from the void. I had asked him about the King in Yellow. There had been no denial, merely a gleeful cry of, "Wow, I love yellow. Oh wow, it's my favorite color." I broke out into a sweat. Trixie could use some, positive habits, yes. A confession, I knew it. I'd been being toyed with all along. That cursed string Parsnip had given me all those days ago. I pulled it out of my bag and threaded it through itself into an intricate but all too familiar shape. The yellow sign. This was a gift to me from the king, or perhaps a warning, or a curse. I shuddered in fear and quickly pushed the terrible sign back into my bag. I would have to think about this further. I buried the thoughts in my mind. I snuck away, only to run straight into La Rose. Ah! Fuck, how long have you been there? We need to talk. It was an incredibly ominous conversation starter. Oh, okay, here? Peered down at the snoozing Parsnip. Judging by his sniffing nose and munching noises, he was dreaming about food. My place. He started walking off. It sounded serious. She'll never say no. I silently followed La Rose to her cottage. Things felt really intense. Did she know what I knew about Parsnip? So, Parsnip has given you one of those strings, too, then. How long had she been watching us? Wait, is that what this is about? Kind of. There was a long silence while my brain tried to process things. It's just, you seemed pretty intense. I was kind of worried. I mean, well, it is important. A bit. The yarn? Do you have one as well? I have at least 20. When I woke up this morning, there were 3 poking through my letterbox. I was concerned for her. To receive one of the cursed gifts from the King in Yellow was bad enough, but 20? The Rose seemed to live in blissful ignorance of their true evil, at least. I decided it was kinder to let her stay that way. I'm considering using them to tie a makeshift noose. Haha. Wait, was that a joke? Sure. So far, all I've been able to do is hoover them up and burn the bags. Like my students, Parsnip is not receptive of criticism. So anyway, I wanted to ask for your help. I really need to get rid of Parsnip. So I was wondering, are you trying to get me to kill Parsnip? He's weird, sure, but that's a little much, don't you think? What? No, don't be ridiculous, no. I was just going to, ask if you'd, I don't know, throw him in a bush and tell him to leave me alone? He stared at LaRose, slightly dumbfounded. You want me to assault him? What? Continued to stare at her, dumbfounded. Not, badly. You've spoken to him, right? Just push him into a bush really carefully and be like, hey, leave LaRose alone or the boys will get you. And that should be enough to spook him. Are you okay? I'm fine. Look, living next door to Parsnip is slowly killing me. I used to drink 30, maybe 40 units of alcohol a day. Now I'm up to maybe 60. Look, will you just give it a go? I can't live like this much longer. Throw Parsnip into a bush. I feel like we gotta. It's not an opportunity that comes very often. Okay, I'll just scare him a little. We can't... Our twisted criminal minds can't resist. Enough to make him stop bothering you. Exactly. It won't take much to spook him. He'll be fine. Wait here. I'll get you a disguise so he can't take you to court. Not that Parsnip knows what court is. Rose disappeared into her house, eventually returning with a big cardboard box. Here, a mask. That's a box. Yes. But look, I cut some eye holes in it. So it's a mask. I was starting to notice how little creativity everyone in my life had when it came to stealth. Walked down the lane, trying not to admit myself that I was only doing this so I didn't have to go back into that evil basement. Parsnip had clearly woken up after his sugar coma. You could see him outside his cottage, talking to his daffodils. He seemed to be stringing friendship yarn around them and congratulating them on winning the trial. Oh jeez, am I really doing this? She's back, in box form. She didn't have time to paint it, though. I approached Parsnip, praying he didn't see through my disguise. Hi, Trixie! Fuck. Please, no bad words. I don't think she would handle this well. Gustav, it's Gustav time. No. I'm not Trixie, I'm Gustav. I'm La Rose's friend? I mean, I am La Rose's henchman. I'm going to push you into a bush now. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Don't like that. There's a bush over here. Follow me. He skipped over to a nearby bush and patiently waited for me to follow. You can throw me in the bush now, haha. Yeah, I mean, in this case, sure. I pushed Parsnip as gently as I could, fell over as lightly as a feather, and landed in the bush. I'm in the bush now. I felt pretty mean, but he seemed to be enjoying himself. Yeah, take that as a warning. Leave La Rose alone? Or, I'll push you in the bush again, maybe? I don't know who La Rose is, but okay. Okay, thank you. Thanks. I'll just be going now. Back to my home in Conisborg. Okay, see you around, new friend. Return to La Rose's cottage. Oh, you're back. Did you do it? Yeah. I feel kind of bad, though. What? Did he die or something? I mean, no, he seemed completely unfazed. I told him to leave you alone, but I don't know if he understood me quite right. Well, I guess it was worth a shot. Thank you. I better get back to my painting. I'll see you around. Decided I'd been fucking around for too long and reluctantly got on my business. We gotta find out. It's like 8 o'clock here, but I think we can power through this. I'm sorry, I couldn't say no to a picnic with Parsnip and also pushing Parsnip into a bush. Anyway, the gateway to Carcosa. I needed to make sure Nikita hadn't done anything here. This cottage might be the only place I could stop her. The upstairs seemed pretty much as I'd left it. Horribly moldy. I knew I was going to have to go downstairs. Not a fun thought. Memories of my last visit still swam in my mind fuzz. It was time to accept my fate and return to the basement where this all started. The skulls sat in the same position as before. I almost started to believe I really had imagined them speaking to me. But before I could step any further into the room, they snapped around to face me, and my heart sunk as I realized returning here was a mistake. Another guest. The little rat returns. Hello, friend. I was frozen, whether by shock or by the ghost design, I don't know. Please, I'm not here. Your friend, yes. The deer was here, searching for a gate she found. Already present, the yellow sign, creator, I am. Forever, never to be removed, no matter how much I tear at its paint. The gate is present, it needs only a key. No more preparations are needed, only the moonlight of a full moon, if what the deer says is true. Believable claim, for I require tonight's white light. Reunite, broken body, no more. Yeah, see, everything's connected. Parsnip is absolutely a Banui without any thoughts. I don't think that one's really all that up for debate. The deer speaks true, then endless, ashen terrors crawling forth from the lake. The rapt, pointed fingers of the king leading them. The decay will spread, the rot. Then I was too late to prevent Nikita from performing her ritual. It would be up to me in person, a battle I would probably lose. I spent a lot of time studying the moon. It was pretty important to a lot of myths, especially around here. I knew very well that the next full moon was tomorrow. Okay, well, that's all I need to know, so I'll just be out of your scalp bone. Leave, return, it is not important. This hovel is tainted, unclean. I have no further use for it. I shall not be present for this evil. You would be wise to leave, little rat, before the ritual is performed. Farewell, little one. The ghost was leaving? Why? Not that I cared, as long as it was out of my life. The skulls shattered into dust. Any evidence of their existence turned into a fine bone powder that joined the spores and dusts in their toxic dance. I was thrown to the ground as the gold mist floated out of the basement like snow in a breeze. I climbed to my feet, my head ringing. I must have hit it when I fell. I made my way outside and caught my breath. My phone buzzed. It was Gregg. Hey, Trixie, I'm gonna do the thing tonight. Can you come down and help? Can it wait? O.O. I have stuff on? Nope. I need to get those pastries made, and running around all week means I'm already behind schedule. I'm doing it tonight. You don't have to come. I can do it alone. Props won't work anyway, right? Oh, are we not actually at the end here? I felt like I should go deal with Nikita if I realized there wasn't anything I could do to prepare. I was exhausted and could barely think. All I could do was wait for tonight, the full moon. I couldn't let Gregg perform that ritual alone. Sure, it might be pointless, but if not... Gregg needed someone there who could deal with this kind of thing. I guess so. I was getting my timing right. I remember what this Gregg part coming up is, and I'm glad because that's the reason I wanted to hang out with Gregg, because I remembered that part being a good part. And I was just worried that maybe one of my choices with the stuff on the pole for baking something out of marzipan or stealing something might have thrown me onto a different path. Alright, well in that case I'm gonna stop for the evening then. I don't want to go for another hour. Let's save here. I'm not late, am I? That's hopefully what I'll be saying. Alright, then. We shall go forward. Oh, did that not work? Why is there no icon? That's weird. Well, that part in the corner is still accurate. That is going to do it then for today. Well, we'll leave just before things start really going down then, I suppose. But thank you all for watching. We'll be back again next Monday when I guess this has just been my theme lately. Expecting things to be 1, maybe 2 parts, and them taking at least 3. But yeah, so Friday then, we'll be returning to Super ZZT The Next Generation, which has been pretty fun, honestly. That's another surprise 3-parter that I expected would be 1, maybe 2, but here we are. And Sunday at noon will be some more unpreserved ZZT Worlds, and then next Monday, we dang well better finish Trixie Glimmersmith. We'll complete the ritual. That'll be fun. Gregg's ritual, Nikita's ritual. There will be rituals. So do stick around next time on Worlds of ZZT. So thank you all for watching one last time, and hope to see you all next time. Later.